Well, hey guys, thanks for tuning in. My name is James K. Jones and this is my basement. Well, today I'm going to be showing you how to make broccoli salad. It's one of the best recipes I've ever had for broccoli salad, and honestly, I didn't used to like it at all. A recipe is one thing, but a method is another thing. So that is one of the things that I want to share in this, is really just how you prep your broccoli. Because a lot of times broccoli salad is not good because the broccoli is not prepped right. But let's get into it and I'll show you how to do that. And just to give you a visual, usually even if you buy a bag of broccoli, it comes out, you come out with some big thing like this. And this is what broccoli should look like if you prep it, just a little bite-sized piece. So I've been at events and parties, sometimes, sad to say, even restaurants where they bring you broccoli, even if it's steamed, and it's like that. That is a whole lot of something to put in your mouth. But I just want to give you a visual. This, if you make broccoli salad and you don't prep your broccoli, this is what you end up with. Just, excuse me. It's just a mess. But if you prep it properly, and I'm going to show you how to do that, you end up with these little beautiful bite-sized pieces. Easy to eat, easy to deal with, makes all the difference in the world. Get ready. All right, we're going to get our ingredients together. We got some red wine vinegar, 2 things of broccoli. I got green onions, cilantro, some chopped cooked bacon, extra sharp cheddar cheese, Parmesan cheese, sour cream, and mayonnaise. And that is going to get us in the game and get us ready to go. Sea salt, white pepper, and dry ranch mix. Then for our hardware, a mixing bowl, a grater, a sharp chef knife, a whisk, and a pair knife. To get us started, we're going to start with about 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise. Up, dropped a little bit. We'll get that in there and get that going. Real life happening here. Then we'll follow that up with the same amount of sour cream, about 2 tablespoons of sour cream. It's going to get us our base for our sauce. Then we're going to add in just a little bit of red wine vinegar. That's going to give it that tangy, delicious goodness. And this will be the base for the sauce for our broccoli salad. Next, we're going to add in a cup of just plain white sugar. Now, if you don't like sugar, you can use stevia or something else, but it really just gives it the little sweet kick that it needs to get it going. And we're just going to mix that up just a little bit, just enough to get the clumps to come out. That can also be a place where people make a mistake when making stuff like this. You know, you want to make sure you don't leave like globs of mayonnaise or globs of sour cream or getting your spices all together. If you just take just a second just to keep, just keep spinning it around until it's nice and smooth, then you'll be in the game. Now we're going to go ahead and put our seasonings in. We got a little bit of sea salt. I like to use the pink Himalayan salt. Ground white pepper. That just gives it a really nutty flavor. And then the secret to this one for me has always been the dry ranch mix. I love putting that. It just adds a little kick, a little zest, onion, garlic, herbs and spices, all the good stuff. Then we'll just keep mixing that up until we get it good and incorporated. And we'll be ready to add our broccoli and all that stuff to it. Here we go. See how creamy it is? That's the good stuff. Now, I rinsed our broccoli off. You always want to go ahead and clean your vegetables, even if it's in a bag, because you never know where it came from. And for me, I like to just dry it off, make it good. And then I always keep on the side a little bowl to put my trash in. That helps me. It's quicker, and then it also helps me. I use it for compost. But I like to start with a sharp chef's knife. We're just going to chop the end of that off and get the big nasty piece that you don't eat off. Some people eat that. I do not. You can use it for stock. But it's just a base, like a stem. And then next, you just want to get your pieces into little florets. Even if you bought bagged broccoli, it would probably come out looking something like this. So I like to use a little paring knife. Now this is the secret to any kind of goodness with broccoli, even if you cook it. you want the little florets. You don't want those big nasty pieces that are in your mouth like I showed you before. But the way to do it is to cut it from the back, not the front. And then you can just pull it apart, and you end up with bite-sized pieces that even your kids will eat them. It looks like it's time-consuming, but it's really not if you just go through and just basically just prep your broccoli. Some of the bigger ones, we can cut them in fours and then pull them apart. And this was one of my biggest pet peeves when I had Kairos. Because if you don't prep your vegetables properly, you don't put out a quality product. And that's if I'm going to do it, I want to do it right. So again, you go from behind. And I'll show you in a second what it looks like if you go from not behind. Now, broccoli is one of those funny vegetables to work with. See these little things on the top? Like if you cut from the top, you get like these little broccoli grits that get everywhere. It just makes a mess. It's a mess in your mouth, and it's just it's just not good to work with. I don't like it. So we just want to keep going through, and some of the bigger ones, if you just knock the back off, you just keep going through until you get a product that you're happy with. Again, when I owned my own restaurant, that was one of my pet peeves. I could always tell if I had a vegetable, somebody that was working on the vegetable station, that they didn't prep their broccoli properly. So if any of y'all that are watching this, you ever work for me, you know how to prep your broccoli. And just for the record, you also know how to peel your celery. But it just makes for a nice presentation, but more than that, it makes it taste good. So we'll just finish up, get all that cleaned up, and get all the nasty stuff in the compost bowl. Next, we're going to do our red onion. Just going to clean that up and get it ready to slice. Peel it up good. And I like to slice these in bigger slices because some people, like my wife, doesn't like onions, and if you make them a little bigger, people can pull them out if they don't want them. Now we got our bunch of green onions. I gave them a wash and rolled them in a paper towel. I like to do my green onions like this because then I use the paper towel to help me clean them, because green onions can have these little nasty things on them, and you just want to examine a little bit. You don't have to go crazy, but like this one, a little nasty piece, just get rid of that. It doesn't taste good. It again, it's all about prepping your vegetables, getting your stuff ready. But if it's limp and brown, or any kind of like that, you want to get rid of it. So I just like to keep them clean. My wife makes fun of me for how I do my green onions, but it's just one of those things. You want to get it where it needs to be. Let's get them cleaned up. And then I like to use the paper towel to just go down the end of the green onion. That way any little nasty pieces, because they're hard to cut off without messing up the whole green onion, but you get those little outer pieces that are not, see how hard that one is to get off, but it's not, I don't feel like it's too much. It gives you a delicious, clean salad, and that's, in my opinion, that's what makes for better recipes. So we're just going to line these up. I like to chop the root off. Some people only use the green parts of the green onions. I feel like that's a waste because they have so much flavor. I use both and just basically trying to chop them as thin as I can. Some people like them a little thicker. I think they taste better and they actually flavor the food better when you get them as thin as you can. And so just give that a nice chop and get rid of those nasty end pieces because they can be something else. We'll put all that in there, and we'll move on to the cilantro. I've washed that as well. Cilantro can be hard to deal with because when it's wet, it gets all mushy. But if you just roll it in a towel, I've already cut the stem ends off. Just going to give it a chop. I like to give it just a rough chop. It releases the flavors. If you don't do anything to it, it doesn't have the flavor that you're looking for. And if you chop cilantro too much, it gets mushy. So we're not looking for that. Just give that a nice little intro to the broccoli salad. And cilantro can also be a little messy. Next, we got our bacon. I've cooked it and chopped it, but I want to give it a little extra something just to make sure. You don't want any big pieces like choking anybody. Now we're going to get our cheese out. I like to use the cheese grater and just, honestly, it takes like a minute and a half to grate a thing of cheddar cheese because it's already soft, and the flavors that come out of that it's totally different to me than from a bag cheese. It may just be in my head. People tell me that. My wife tells me that. But when you grate it fresh like this, it just makes all the difference. Then try to, unclump it because it can get clumpy. Just before you put it in there, it'll keep it from clotting up. And basically, throw the bad boy in there. And we'll be ready to go. Now you can't smell this, but the smell of freshly grated cheese, it's way different from anything coming out of a bag. Next, we're going to do our Parmesan. I've got a hard grater. It's called a microblade. It's just easier to work with on that. And for the Parmesan, I just go right across the bowl with my little handy grater and just grate it in there. Again, you can buy it already done. You can get your Parmesan already cut up or however you want to do it. But the flavor and the difference it makes in a nice recipe is noticeable. And it also saves you a considerable amount of money. Well, now it's time to mix. Now you can use a spoon or a big spatula, whatever works for you. But honestly, I like to use these bad boys that God gave me. It's quicker to use my hands. You notice I cook with gloves a lot just because I'm around food so much, and it really keeps your hands safe more than it keeps the food safe. The Serve Safe health department rule is if it's something that's not going to be cooked, you don't have to wear gloves. But if it's raw food that's going out, that's never going to be brought up to temperature, then you do. You can do that however you want, but I wear gloves just to protect my hands. But what we want to do here, we want to get this all completely incorporated, mixed up really good so that everything's, the cheese is not all in one place. And it may look like on this sauce that it looks a little dry. It's actually not. Once it sits, it'll release some juices. And if you put too much sauce on it on the front, then you end up with broccoli salad that looks like it's covered in a gallon of milk. And, that's not what we want either. Once we get this mixed up, we're going to tightly wrap it in plastic wrap. I like to put it in the fridge for overnight, but 4 to 6 hours is good. So then we're good to go. Then I've got all my trash in my bowl. It doesn't stink up my trash can, and I use it for compost. I try to keep it separate. It's good stuff. All right, guys, there you have it. We've got it wrapped up in the refrigerator. I like to leave it in there for at least 24 hours. Just makes all the flavors kind of marry together. But if not, if you can do 3 or 4 hours, that'll work too. But I'll swing back in here sometime tomorrow, and we'll do a little taste test. See what we think. See you soon. All right, guys, it's been a full 24 hours. We made a broccoli salad. We wrapped it up tight in plastic wrap, put it in the fridge, and had it there for 24 hours. Let's just cut into it, see what happens. All right, well, I got this pretty tightly wrapped. So I'm just gonna cut into it, make sure we can get in there. Oh my goodness. And yes, this recipe still holds. See how beautiful that is? Remember I told you yesterday, don't worry that the sauce might look a little dry, but as it sits overnight, it'll gain more, it'll get a little more juicy. So just give that a quick stir. Now I know y'all can't smell this, but the smell of all these flavors when they've been sitting there marinating like that overnight, the vinegar, the onions, the cheese, it is amazing. And of course the bacon. It's hard to mess up anything with bacon. All right, so we're gonna put this in a handy little bowl. And we'll give her a taste test, even though I can already tell you just by the smell, it's good. All right, I'm just gonna give that a little taste test. See how the broccoli's easy to eat? This recipe is still a winner. Thank you, Auntie Glennis. And there you have it. This is a great, healthy recipe. It's fun to take anywhere you want to go. It's a crowd pleaser, tasty, filled with delicious goodness, and sometimes even your kids will eat it. This was my Aunt Glennis's recipe, and Auntie Glennis, I hope I'm making you proud here. And also for more, look me up on Facebook and Instagram, and now TikTok. Look up Chef James K. Jones. All right, and remember to hit that like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, if you never want to miss a recipe, hit that little bell. It'll give you notifications anytime I drop a new anything. And for more about me, stories are powerful. We all have one. And I've chosen to share mine with my wife on a podcast platform. Check it out. Look up the Straight Outta Prison podcast. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to the Straight Outta Prison podcast. My name is James K. Jones, and this is my story.
And this is Haley Jones, and this is his story that has now become a part of my story.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoy this recipe as much as we have. We'll see you soon.